the next habit of highly successful applicants is to be willing to be vulnerable. It can be very uncomfortable to be vulnerable. The queen of vulnerability is Brene Brown. She's a fellow Texan like me. She has an amazing career, but I remember back when she was just a social worker living in Texas, did a TEDx talk on vulnerability, and that TEDx talk went viral, and now she has 5 to 7 books about shame and vulnerability and lots of podcasts, and she's mega famous. But she really kind of brought that notion of vulnerability into the major global conversation. And one thing I want to acknowledge is that us high achievers and overachievers, we very much like to put forward a perfectionist persona. We don't like to make mistakes, especially not in front of other people. We like to feel like we know exactly what we want. We know exactly what to do. We know the answer. And I understand I'm that kind of person naturally as well. But in the application process, it is going to very much benefit you to be willing to be vulnerable with us, with the Art of Applying team, with your consultant, but also on the page in your applications. Also in your interviews. We will help you figure out just how vulnerable, how open, how authentic to be in your applications, how much sharing is too much sharing, how private are certain things, are there any off-limit topics? And if you can believe it, what's really interesting is as society changes, the things that are acceptable or even interesting for the admissions committees to hear about in your essays shifts as well. But in general, what I want you to take away from my request that as a highly successful applicant, you be willing to be vulnerable is if there is some sort of thing that you perceive as a weakness or that we maybe even all agree is a weakness of your profile, don't sweep it under the rug. Don't try and hide it from us. Tell us about it, and we can help you mitigate that weakness, or we may even be able to help you kind of actually turn it around and make it a strength of your profile. An example was I had a client that he is a mid-career client, meaning that he's an experienced person. He's in his late 30s, applying to Harvard Kennedy School for the mid-career MPA, Masters of Public Administration program. And one of the essay prompts was, tell us about a time when you let someone down. And he pitched different stories to me. And I really latched on to the one essay about him letting down his family when he was working a tremendous amount and had newborn kids. He was very resistant, very, very resistant to us working on an essay of that topic. He's just like, who wants to hear about me being a workaholic? And who wants to hear about me not being there in the kid's life that much? Nobody wants to hear that. And we worked on that essay together, and he worked with his consultant on that essay, and it came out as a gorgeously tender and vulnerable essay. And when he would show that essay, all of his Harvard essays to other people, invariably the favorite of all the essays was that one. People loved that vulnerability, authenticity, and openness. And he ended up with an essay that he was very proud of, even though it was very uncomfortable, right, for him to write that and to work on that. And he was like, nobody wants to hear about that. So that's just one example of vulnerability. Other ways that I want you to be willing to be vulnerable is if you're having negative feelings like, I'm having imposter syndrome. I am feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling discouraged. I'm feeling like this isn't going to work for me. You don't have to keep those feelings inside. You can share those. You can share those feelings with your consultant, and one thing that's really awesome is all of our consultants have been through this experience of applying to college, applying to graduate school, attending college, attending graduate school, navigating the work world. They've been through everything that you are going through, so they can share about their personal experience, and they can also share about how other clients that they have worked with felt when they were going through this process, so that you can realize that you're not alone, because you are not alone.